There's one word you can say to a woman that will make her think about you for days, even weeks. And no, it's not baby. In fact, that's the one that kills attraction faster than anything else. Here's what most men don't realize. When you call her baby, you think you're being affectionate, sweet, caring. But what she actually feels is predictability. She's heard it 1,000 times before from men who were too eager, too available, too soft. It doesn't spark emotion. It tells her exactly what kind of man you are, and not in a good way. That's why she drifts. That's why she loses interest even when you're doing everything right. Because words without power mean nothing. But here's the secret. The right nickname said at the right moment with the right tone bypasses her logic and hits her subconscious. It stirs something primal. It makes her feel seen in a way no compliment ever could. It's not about being romantic, it's about being unforgettable. In this video, you'll learn how to use what I call the forbidden nickname, a name that flips the emotional switch inside her, the one that makes her curious, slightly off balance, and deeply drawn to your energy. We'll break down why it works, when to use it, and how to make her crave hearing it again and again. This isn't manipulation. It's psychology grounded in Stoic control, emotional discipline, and masculine restraint. Let's get into it. Number 1, the wrong nicknames that kill attraction. Most men think using nicknames like baby sweetheart or honey makes a woman feel special. They think it sounds loving, affectionate, maybe even sexy. But here's the hard truth. Those nicknames don't create attraction. They kill it. Why? Because they signal comfort, predictability, and emotional submission. The very things that shut down a woman's curiosity and desire. Let's make this real. Tom, 52, an accountant from Austin, started seeing Lisa, 38, after his divorce. On their second date, he called her baby. She smiled politely but didn't say much. By the third date, he used it again and again. What Tom didn't realize was that every time he said baby, he was lowering his frame. He thought he was building connection, but he was actually dissolving tension. Lisa stopped feeling the charge between them. There was no edge, no mystery, no masculine polarity. She didn't ghost him because she was offended. She just got bored. See, the problem isn't the nickname itself. It's what it communicates energetically. When a man uses a word every other man has used, it signals familiarity. And familiarity is the opposite of attraction. Attraction thrives on unpredictability, tension, and contrast. The moment you make her feel like every other woman she files you under, nice guy. And nice guys don't trigger obsession. Here's the psychological truth. Women don't respond to the literal meaning of your words. They respond to the energy behind them. When you call her baby, it doesn't sound like strength. It sounds like dependence. It feels like a man who's trying to pull her closer instead of standing his ground. It's an unconscious signal that says, I need your warmth to feel validated. And no woman, especially one who's used to being desired, finds that attractive. Now, contrast that with masculine restraint. A man who holds back his words, who doesn't rush to assign nicknames, creates tension. His silence makes her wonder what he's thinking. His composure makes her want to earn his affection. When he finally gives her a name, one that feels personal, deliberate, and rare, it lands with power because she knows it wasn't given easily. The Stoics understood this principle centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Control your tongue and your mind will follow." In modern terms, don't speak just to fill the silence. Don't use words out of habit. Speak when it means something. That's what makes your words and your presence carry weight. Tom's mistake wasn't that he cared. It's that he showed it too soon, too softly, too predictably. He tried to connect by mimicking what weak men do, instead of standing out through calm confidence. If he had held back, used her name, looked her in the eye, and said, "Less," the dynamic would have been completely different. His silence would have done more than Baby ever could. So, here's the lesson. Stop using nicknames that make you sound like every other man. Don't give affection cheaply. Make your words valuable by saying less. Let her feel your strength through your tone, your presence, and your restraint. When you speak sparingly and deliberately, you don't need to call her baby to make her feel close. She'll feel it in the way you look at her. And that's what makes a woman obsessed. Not what you say, but what your silence makes her feel. Leave a comment that says, "I've seen this." In the next part, we'll uncover the forbidden nickname, the one that doesn't soften your power, but amplifies it. The one that taps directly into her subconscious and makes her crave your attention, even when you're silent. Number 2, the forbidden name that drives her wild. Every man thinks he needs the perfect word to make a woman fall for him. But the truth is, it's not about the word. It's about what that word awakens in her. The forbidden nickname isn't cute, predictable, or romantic. It's primal. It's the kind of name that slips past her logic and touches something deeper. The part of her that wants to feel chosen, claimed, and seen by a man who doesn't beg for her attention. You see, women are emotional creatures. They don't respond to reason. They respond to symbols. And the forbidden nickname works because it's symbolic. It's not a label of endearment. It's an emotional mirror. It tells her who she is in your eyes, but in a way that catches her off guard. That's why when you call her something like Trouble Witch or Little Storm, it hits differently. It's not something she's heard 100 times. It's not safe. It's charged. It suggests danger and playfulness at the same time. The forbidden nickname works because it triggers contrast. She feels seen and challenged in the same breath, and that combination is intoxicating. When you call her baby, she feels ownership over you. When you call her trouble, she feels pulled into your frame. She starts wondering what you mean, what you see in her, and why she wants to prove you right. But here's the catch. It only works when it comes from the right energy. If you try too hard, if you sound nervous, it dies. Instantly. Because the word itself doesn't have power, you do. The nickname is only a vehicle for your frame. It carries the energy you project. The more grounded and calm you are, the more impact it has. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, your energy colors everything you say. If you speak from insecurity, even a powerful word sounds weak. But if you speak from composure and control, even a whisper can shake her. That's why the forbidden nickname must come from stillness, not excitement. When you use it sparingly, it becomes addictive. You might drop it once then, not again for days. That gap, that unpredictability, makes it echo in her mind. She'll replay it, wonder why you said it, what it meant, and whether you'll say it again. That's how obsession begins, not from repetition, but from scarcity. And don't misunderstand, this isn't about manipulation, it's about psychological polarity. The forbidden nickname reminds her that she's dealing with a man who's both aware and restrained. You see her, you acknowledge her energy, but you don't overindulge. You create a push and pull between closeness and distance. That tension is what makes her crave you. So here's the Stoic move. Don't chase reaction, observe it. Control yourself first, then let your words flow from that composure. You'll notice that when you stop trying to impress her, your presence itself becomes magnetic. The forbidden nickname isn't about what you say, it's about the state you say it from. Because when you speak from calm authority, your words carry weight. She feels it, she remembers it, and she starts associating your voice with excitement, curiosity, and a little bit of danger. That's what drives her wild. Not the word itself, but the man behind it. Leave a comment that says, "I felt that." In the next part, we'll break down why certain nicknames like baby destroy polarity, and why replacing them with charged symbolic words instantly flips the power dynamic in your favor. Number 3, why baby kills her desire fast. If there's one word that men need to delete from their vocabulary, it's baby. It sounds harmless, even affectionate, but in the wrong energy, it's poison to attraction. Every time a man says baby, he thinks he's creating intimacy. What he's really creating is predictability. And nothing kills a woman's desire faster than a man she can predict. Let's put this into perspective. David, 55, a financial advisor from Chicago, started dating Rachel, 39, a marketing executive. Things went well at first. She was drawn to his calm confidence and maturity. But over time, David got comfortable. He started calling her baby constantly, in texts, on calls, at dinner. "Hey, baby, how's your day?" "Miss you, baby."
Can't wait to see you, baby.
Rachel didn't say anything at first, but slowly she started to pull back. She began replying later, showing up less available. When David finally asked what changed, she said, "You used to make me feel excited. Now you just feel safe." And that's the exact problem. Baby is the verbal equivalent of a soft couch. Comfortable, familiar, but completely lacking an edge. It makes her feel adored, not desired. When a woman feels adored too early, her polarity flips. She becomes the one with the power, and you become another man chasing validation. Here's what's really happening psychologically. When you call her baby, you place her above you. It's a word of worship, not attraction. It sends the message, "I'm emotionally invested. Please see me as loving." But attraction doesn't grow from emotional safety alone. It grows from tension. A woman doesn't want a man who needs her attention. She wants a man who commands it. This is where most men misunderstand the balance between warmth and polarity. You can still be kind, still show affection, but if you give her too much comfort too soon, you remove her curiosity. She stops wondering what's coming next. She knows you're already emotionally captured. And once she feels she has you, she starts testing to see if you'll ever step out of that softness. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Seneca wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." The same principle applies here. When affection is constant, it loses meaning. When you use baby all the time, it becomes background noise. The word stops carrying weight because it's too available. That's why women respond more intensely to restraint. A man who holds back affection keeps her attention. He's not cold, he's selective. He knows that desire thrives on scarcity. So when he finally does show warmth, it hits 10 times harder. Now, imagine if David had understood this. Instead of flooding Rachel with sweetness, he could have kept his tone grounded, his language simple, a well-timed compliment, a steady look, a nickname that carried mystery, not comfort. That's what she would have remembered, the feeling of wanting to earn more from him. So, here's the takeaway. Baby doesn't make her melt, it makes her settle. If you want her desire to stay alive, stop trying to sound romantic and start being intentional. Your power as a man lies in what you hold back, not what you give away. Because when you stop chasing her approval and start controlling your words like a Stoic controls his mind, she'll start chasing your attention again. Leave a comment that says, "I've seen this." In the next part, we'll uncover why the most powerful nicknames don't describe her. They reveal her speaking directly to the part of her mind she can't hide. Number 4, how the right word hits her subconscious. Here's what most men never understand. Women don't respond to what you say, they respond to what they feel when you say it. The right word doesn't just land in her ears, it slips quietly into her subconscious. It bypasses logic and touches emotion. That's why the wrong nickname feels flat, but the right one lingers in her mind long after you've stopped speaking. When you say a word that resonates with her subconscious, you're not just talking to the woman in front of you. You're speaking to the emotional wiring that runs deep beneath her confidence, her wit, her independence. You're touching the part of her that wants to feel seen but never exposed, desired but not owned. This is why the forbidden nickname works so powerfully. It's not a description, it's a mirror. It reflects something back to her that she senses about herself but rarely hears spoken aloud. Call her trouble, and she feels both teased and understood. Call her little storm, and suddenly she's aware of her own intensity and your awareness of it. These aren't labels, they're emotional triggers cloaked in words. The key here is awareness. You must say these words from a grounded, centered place, never from need. If you speak them seeking a reaction, they lose all their power because she can always feel whether you're coming from confidence or from insecurity. The right word said from the wrong energy dies before it ever reaches her subconscious. The Stoics had a truth that fits perfectly here. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." In other words, before you speak to her, decide what kind of man you are. If you embody calm authority, your words will carry it. If you embody uncertainty, your words will betray it. That's why some men can whisper a single word and make a woman's pulse quicken, while others can talk for hours and leave her cold. The difference isn't vocabulary, it's presence. When you speak from a place of control, your words vibrate at a different frequency. She doesn't analyze them, she feels them. And the more you hold back, the deeper they sink. Because in her subconscious, restraint equals power. The less you chase a reaction, the more she craves your attention. Here's a Stoic truth to remember. Stillness speaks. The right word spoken sparingly, with timing and intention, creates silence afterward that does the real work. That silence is where her mind races, where she replays the sound of your voice, where she starts to imagine. And that's how obsession begins. Not with explanation, but with imagination. The right word plants the seed. The silence lets it grow. This kind of mastery takes awareness, discipline, and practice. And that's exactly what I teach in the members-only section of this channel. How to communicate with calm, masculine authority. How to build emotional polarity without manipulation. And how to use presence instead of persuasion. If you want to learn how to hold that frame, how to use silence, tone, and timing to build real magnetic tension, join as a member today. You'll get exclusive lessons that dive deeper into Stoic psychology and modern attraction. Because once you understand how the subconscious responds, you'll stop chasing women's attention and start commanding it. Leave a comment that says, "I've felt that." In the next part, we'll talk about the timing, when to drop that forbidden word, and when to pull back so she never knows what's coming next and can't stop thinking about you because of it. Number 5, when to say it and when to pull back. Timing is everything. You can have the perfect word, the right tone, and the strongest presence, but if you say it at the wrong moment, it loses all its power. What most men get wrong isn't the word itself, it's the timing. They either say it too soon, before any emotional tension exists, or too often, until the word becomes predictable and meaningless. The forbidden nickname only works when it's rare, unexpected, and charged with silence before and after. Let's bring this to life. Eric, 54, a construction manager from Seattle, had been seeing Megan, 40, for a few weeks. She was sharp, independent, and used to being in control. During one dinner, she started teasing him about being too calm, saying he never reacted, never got flustered. Most men would have tried to defend themselves or match her energy, but Eric just looked at her for a second, smiled, and said, "You're trouble." Then he leaned back and said nothing. In that pause, everything changed. Megan stopped laughing. Her expression softened. That one word dropped at the perfect moment shifted the entire dynamic. It wasn't what Eric said, it was when he said it, and how he didn't chase the moment afterward. He gave her space to feel the meaning behind it. That's where the power lies. This is the secret of timing. You say it when she least expects it, not when she's seeking validation, but when she's testing your composure. It's the moment when she's teasing you, challenging you, or trying to read you. That's when you say it. Calmly, slowly, without breaking eye contact. Then you let silence do the rest. The Stoics would call this measured speech. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Let your words be few and your actions fair." That doesn't just apply to philosophy. It's the key to attraction. Because when your words are few, they become meaningful. When they're measured, they become powerful. The mistake most men make is chasing that reaction. They say the word again too soon. They repeat it the next day, hoping to get the same response. But repetition kills mystery. Once the word becomes familiar, it loses its edge. She stops feeling it. It turns from a spark into background noise. That's why restraint is essential. The power of the forbidden nickname comes from scarcity. The less you use it, the more it echoes in her mind. Think of it like perfume. A single drop lingers longer than a heavy spray. And this is where masculine discipline separates men who get results from those who don't. Eric understood this instinctively. After that dinner, he didn't use the word trouble again for almost 2 weeks. Megan brought it up herself, half-jokingly. "So, am I still trouble?" That's when he knew she'd been thinking about it the whole time. When you pull back after giving her an emotionally charged word, you create mental space. In that space, her imagination takes over. She replays it, wonders why you said it, what you meant. That's not manipulation. That's psychology. Because the human mind obsesses over the things it can't predict or control. So here's the rule. Timing isn't just about when to speak. It's about when to stay silent. The right word lands like a spark. The silence afterward lets it burn. Be intentional. Wait for the moment when she's least expecting it. Then say it with calm certainty once and walk away from the need for a reaction. That's what leaves her replaying your voice in her head long after you're gone. Leave a comment that says, "I've seen this." In the next part, we'll explore why mystery and scarcity don't just make her think about you. They make her feel addicted to your presence, even when you're nowhere near her. Number 6, mystery makes her addicted to you. If you want a woman to think about you long after you're gone, stop trying to be fully understood. Mystery, not explanation, is what keeps her craving more. When a woman feels she knows everything about you, she stops feeling curious. And when curiosity dies, attraction dies with it. Here's the paradox. Most men never grasp women aren't drawn to what they can predict. They're drawn to what they can't quite define. The more you reveal, the less she feels. The more you hold back, the more she invests emotionally trying to figure you out. The forbidden nickname works for this exact reason. It's not just a word, it's a hint. It teases the edge of understanding without ever fully revealing its meaning. When you drop it once, then pull back, it leaves a residue of mystery in her mind. She replays it, wonders what you meant, and slowly you start living rent-free in her thoughts. That's addiction, not built on constant attention, but on the space between it. Mystery creates emotional tension. It's the silent conversation that happens in her head when you're not there. She remembers the tone, the timing, the calm confidence. She fills in the blanks with her imagination. And her imagination is far more powerful than anything you could ever explain out loud. But mystery isn't about playing games or acting distant. It's about control, emotional control. It's about knowing when to reveal, when to stay silent, and when to let her chase the meaning. The Stoics understood this as self-restraint, the art of not giving away your power through impulse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." The same applies here. If you're desperate for her attention, you'll overshare. You'll talk too much, text too fast, reveal too soon. But if you value your composure more than her validation, you'll stay grounded. You'll reveal your thoughts like a man revealing cards, one at a time, only when necessary. And that's what keeps her guessing. Mystery, when combined with presence, is intoxicating. It's not about being cold, it's about being unreadable in the right moments. She doesn't know exactly what you're thinking, and that drives her crazy in the best possible way. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel more than she wants to know. The forbidden nickname is your tool to create that feeling. You say it once, let it echo, then retreat. Don't explain it, don't follow up. Let silence do the heavy lifting. She'll fill the silence with her thoughts, her fantasies, her curiosity. That's how she gets hooked, not on you, but on the mystery of you. Stoic mastery teaches that true strength lies in restraint. The man who can hold his peace while others chase attention becomes magnetic by default. Because mystery isn't about manipulation, it's about self-command. It's about letting her feel your presence even in your absence. So here's the truth. If you want her addicted to you, don't flood her with attention. Give her tension. Don't try to be transparent. Be steady, grounded, and a little unreadable. Because the more she tries to figure you out, the deeper she falls under your spell. One word, one silence, one look at a time. Leave a comment that says, "I felt that." In the next part, we'll talk about how to use her emotions, not her logic, to deepen that pull by speaking directly into the parts of her she hides, even from herself. Number 7, speak to her emotions, not her logic. Here's the mistake most men make. They think women fall for explanations. They don't. They fall for feelings. You can't talk a woman into attraction. You can only make her feel something. Every word you say either moves her emotionally or numbs her mentally. And the men who understand that difference never struggle to keep a woman's attention. Let's take a look at a real situation. Mark, 57, a retired pilot from Arizona, started dating Vanessa, 41, after meeting through mutual friends. On their first few dates, Mark tried to impress her with his stories, long conversations about his career, his travels, his achievements. She was polite, even intrigued at first. But soon he noticed her energy shift. Her eyes wandered, her body language softened, and her texts came slower. He didn't understand. He thought he'd done everything right. The truth, Mark, was speaking to her logic, not her emotion. He was giving her information, not sensation. He was trying to be interesting instead of making her feel something. Now imagine if, instead of listing facts, Mark had said, "You know what I miss most about flying?" That moment, right before takeoff, when everything's shaking and you know something powerful is about to happen. That single line would have done more than all his stories combined, because it paints a feeling. It pulls her into an emotional space, one she can feel, not just understand. The forbidden nickname works the same way. When you call her something symbolic, like trouble or witch, it bypasses her rational mind. It's not a definition, it's a feeling. It triggers her curiosity, her playfulness, her feminine energy. She starts feeling drawn to the emotion that word represents. Stoic wisdom applies here too. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What you say and how you say it colors her emotional state." If your words carry calm confidence, she feels grounded. If your tone carries depth and quiet certainty, she feels safe. And when she feels both safety and excitement at once, that's when obsession begins. Men who over-explain lose polarity because they keep the conversation in her head. They make her think instead of feel. But emotion is what creates memory. Emotion is what ties her to you. When she remembers how she felt in your presence, she starts craving it again, not consciously, but instinctively. That's why storytelling, tone, and timing matter more than words. Speak from experience, not from ego. Describe sensations, not situations. When you speak from your emotional truth, even the simplest words can have impact. Mark eventually learned this. On their next date, he stopped talking about his career. Instead, he leaned in and said, "You know, you have that kind of energy that makes it hard to stay calm." Vanessa smiled, not because of what he said, but because of how it felt. It wasn't logical, it was emotional, and it worked. So remember, women don't fall for what they hear, they fall for what they feel. Your goal isn't to explain yourself, it's to create a feeling she can't forget. Leave a comment that says, "I've seen this." In the next part, we'll uncover why naming her energy, not her need, is what makes her feel seen, and why that single shift changes the way she experiences you forever. Number 8, name her energy, not her need. Here's a truth that separates men who attract women effortlessly from those who always end up in the friend zone. Women don't want you to describe what they say they want. They want you to recognize what they feel. The difference between naming her need and naming her energy is the difference between sounding like a therapist and sounding like a man who understands her soul. When you tell a woman what she needs, you step into a parental role. You're analyzing her, fixing her, or trying to impress her with understanding. But when you name her energy, when you reflect the emotion she's projecting, the vibe she's radiating, you create connection. She feels seen without being exposed. That's intimacy. That's attraction. The forbidden nickname works because it speaks to her energy. It doesn't explain her behavior. It captures her essence. When you call her something like troublestorm or chaos, you're not diagnosing her. You're acknowledging what she brings into the room. You're saying, "I see the part of you that hides behind your words." And that hits her subconscious in a way she can't resist. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. They knew that the wise man doesn't react to surface behavior, he reads beneath it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." The man who sees through behavior and names energy instead of reacting to it is the one who controls the frame. He's not shaken by what she says. He's tuned in to what she feels. Let's make this practical. When she's teasing you, laughing a little too loud, crossing her arms with that playful spark in her eyes, that's not resistance. That's energy. If you meet it with logic or correction, it dies. But if you meet it with awareness, if you smile and say something like, "You've got that dangerous energy tonight," suddenly her guard drops. You've acknowledged what's real beneath the surface, and that creates instant chemistry. This is how emotional mastery looks in practice. You're not reading her words, you're reading her presence. You're speaking to the invisible part of her experience, the part she's not even conscious of. And when you can do that, you become unforgettable. But here's the key. It only works when it's grounded in calm, masculine energy. You can't fake awareness. You can't use this to manipulate. You must come from stillness, from that stoic core that doesn't chase reactions. Because the moment you try to get something from her, you lose the power of presence. Remember, women live in emotion, but they crave a man who can contain it, not drown in it. Naming her energy shows her you can hold space for her emotion without losing your composure. That's what makes her feel both safe and excited, the ultimate combination. So, next time you're with her, stop overanalyzing what she wants. Listen to what she feels. Watch how she moves, how she breathes, how she looks at you. Then name the energy you sense simply and calmly. You'll be amazed at how her whole body responds, not because of the word, but because she feels seen. That's what the forbidden nickname truly is, not a word.